Wow, talk about this World Cup giving you a lot, a lot to talk about. And we dive straight into just kicking it. This edition, of course, talking about this match day. And the last match, of course, I just finished was Germany versus Sweden. I don't know if any German fans that are watching this video are remaining with any fingernails, because I can tell you even the players that were playing for Germany a while ago were chewing their fingernails off. It was such a tense match. Germany 2, Sweden 1. What a fantastic bit of football we just saw. It looked for a second like Germany would be on the fringe of losing a place in the knockout stage of this World Cup, and somehow or the other they just turned it around. This is what happened. So Mesut Ozil and Sami Khedira were dropped after that loss that Germany had to Mexico, and that was at the Luzhniki Stadium. Today now, the Swedes came in the 32nd minute and opened the scoring to give the Germans even more headaches. And just to tell you how bad it was Toni Kroos, who is normally such a competent player. He gave the ball away to the Swedes, and that is what led to that opening goal. Sweden were on fire, looking like they were going to run away with this game. I don't know what happened during halftime, but something was said to these players. I'm not sure if it's the manager, the coach who said it. I'm not sure if it's anyone else in the coaching staff. I'm not sure if it's a captain who said it, but something was said that gave Germany a spark small enough to really ignite the second half, and it was such a fiery 45 minutes. What happened was Marco Reus pulled one back, and it was 1-1 in the, I think that was in the 50-something minute. No, sorry, it was right after the interval. Right after 48 minutes in is when they pulled that goal back, draw the game up. It was level, and it looked like somehow or the other Sweden were going to hold out. We're going to hold out long enough to draw this game and put Germany in a really tough position, because a draw in this game would have meant that it was up to whatever happened in the other games to decide whether or not Germany would go through to the knockout round. However, in the 94th minute, there were 5 minutes of added time, and in the 4th minute of added time, just before the referee was ready to blow his whistle, Sweden conceded a foul on the left flank in a very dangerous position, and the man who gave away the ball, Toni Kroos, he had a point to prove. He wanted to make sure that he was not walking back to the hotel alone tonight, because he was kicked off of the bus for giving away that goal earlier on. That free kick was set up for him so nicely. The ball was just tapped into his path, and then he just let loose with one heck of a curler. That ball curled so much and went straight into the back of the net. Olsen, who was having a fantastic night, Robin Olsen, who is a Swedish goalkeeper, he was having such a fantastic night, but there was nothing that he could have done about that Toni Kroos goal. And so it ended 2-1 in favour of the Germans. That means that they joined the Swedes on 3 points, with Mexico, of course, after their win today. Mexico are top of that group, and then it's the Swedish, and then the Germans level on points, 3 points each, and Mexico are on 6 points. So now fate is really back in the hands of the Germans, and it'll come down to whether or not they can get a decent result in their final group game, which would be very interesting to say the least. We also spoke about that Mexico game, which was also in this group, the same group. Mexico ran out 2-1 winners against the Koreans. That game too was such a fantastic game to watch. I was at the edge of my seat for a lot of it. So Carlos Vela, he won a penalty in the 26th. There was a handball in the area, and they got a penalty. He buried that penalty quite simply. He's a very experienced footballer. And speaking about experienced footballers, Javier Hernandez, a man most persons would know as Chicharito, former Manchester United player, he scored the other goal for the Mexicans in the 65th minute after Irving Lozano broke away and just ran almost half of the pitch with no one being able to catch him. He laid that ball off for Javier Hernandez, and Hernandez made no mistake getting that ball into the back of the net. His 50th goal for Mexico, so top work for him. Hernandez, funnily enough, scored on this same date in the last World Cup when Mexico defeated Croatia 3-1. So he has this knack for scoring on June 23rd. Let's see what happens in about 4 more years. Rafael Marquez, he's a legend, a real legend for Mexico. Almost gifted Korea a goal in the 75th minute, but even then the Koreans couldn't pounce. They couldn't break through the Mexican defense and score. But in the dying moments of the game, Heung-min Son pulled one back for them. It was not enough in the end to save them any points, but it is definitely, I tell you, this goal from Heung-min Son is a contender for goal of the tournament. It was just a beautiful left-footed shot, curled into the corner of the goal. Wonderful stuff. He's a very, very talented footballer, and that goal by no means is not his style. He was just perfect. Everything was perfect about it. His technique was spot on, and that's what got that ball to curl so well just out of the reach of the goalkeeper. The first game, which was the final game we'll talk about, the first game that was played today was Belgium versus Tunisia. And I don't know what it is about Moscow, but it seems to be a city of goal. And I say goal as in goals, because 7 was scored in today's game between the Belgians and Tunisians. 5-2 it ended in favor of Belgium. They continue, as this tournament go on, to look more and more like a top team, like the team that might make it straight to the final. Who knows if that will happen, but they definitely played like a team that wanted to win the World Cup today. They scored 5 times. Eden Hazard scored twice, Romelu Lukaku scored twice, and Michy Batshuayi scored another goal as well. He worked really hard in that game, and it was good to see him actually score, get on the score sheet and get some popularity and some, fame out of this game. Of course, he's a very fantastic young player, and I would like to see him play just like this and score some more goals as this tournament moves on. Tunisia did get a couple of goals, as was mentioned. Dylan Brun scored 1, and Wabi Kaziri, he scored 1 as well, but they just couldn't handle the pressure that Belgium were putting on. And like I say, I strongly believe that Belgium are one of the teams that, if not making it to the final, they're at least going to get to the semi-finals of this tournament. They're just playing out of their skin. Tunisia have not won a World Cup game in 40 years. Today just continue that trend of losing. They last won in the 1978 edition, and they beat Mexico 3-1. This win puts Belgium in a very strong position on top of the table. Now, only a win for Panama in tomorrow's game against England will be enough to save the Tunisians from elimination. A win for England, though, would see both Belgium and England through to the round of 16, and making the game on Thursday between both teams, Belgium and England, basically a shootout for top spot in the group. And that's the way it ended for this World Cup wrap-up. I will, in the comments of this video, put the tomorrow's games, just to give you an idea of what you can expect, and we'll have another edition of Just Kicking It tomorrow. I won't be here, unfortunately, but I know Sarah Chandu, my colleague, will be very competent in taking over Just Kicking It for tomorrow. But until tomorrow, and until next I see you guys again, thank you very much for joining us.